Good morning, or whatever it is wherever you are. Alright, so last time I was playing around with getting a database set up. So actually, I was thinking, you know what? I was putting these like created at, removed at times, and I actually have no current use for that. So I might just... and I still have too many windows. So that's running the server. So this is roll back. And we move the table. I go to our migration. Remove that. Remove all these. So we still kind of have, yeah, should we bulk create those? I don't remember if I'm going to need to do, I don't end up seeing if we need to do any other seed stuff. I think that might be the only table we need to properly seed. All right. So the other migration we want, well, I think I'm going to need epochs. Well, I'm going to need some sort of epoch. I could probably just store a per server epoch. In the main table, and I could get the current up to a point with some select statements. And it would be possible to convert that later into an epoch ID kind of thing. The thing you would get out of epochs would be a really easy way to get a range, which could also be gotten just by select statements. All right, so we're just gonna do, I mean, there would probably be some value in storing the raw lifelogs. However, the way I'm planning to publish right now would run me into the database limit doing that on a Heroku instance, or a Heroku database. So lives is going to look a bit like well, no, actually, Lifelog is what I was looking at. Look a little bit like my Lifelog export as well. So we're going to have a server ID integer. We're going to have an epoch integer, we're going to have a player ID well, that's what we keep calling it. I don't know if it would be useful to have a table for hashes, because really it would just be ID and hash. So in theory, it would save you some raw data usage to be an integer instead of a hash string. But it's really just a... Of course, I guess that's kind of what the server ended up being. Maybe more useful if I started collecting... Oh, well... If I wanted to start collecting data on them, but I could also just have a hash to whatever table. All right, so I'm doing that because that's kind of ID column. The actual data, which I closed. Well, actually, so for timestamps, we're doing lives. So that was doing separate because it was originally defined from different data. So the raw data was in fact an integer. So is it better to store that as just a timestamp rather than possibly including, I guess my main, well, not even if there's time zone, it might end up storing a time zone, but it should still represent the same time. Birth X, integer, birth Y, integer, death time, death X, all right, so we've got well, I should be able to play with this. It's just going to give me a Ruby file. I can play with the order if I need to. Hash string parent is just going to be the integer player ID, and then we can use the server and epoch to find the appropriate parent. Chain might be useful. Lineage might be useful to store. I was kind of pre-computing it in my data earlier. But it would kind of have to be a thing where as you go through a record, you have to follow the chain, figure out who they're attached to. It makes it much less of a straight-up insert. Chain. I think ActiveRecord has support for an enumeration thing, which is probably an integer under the hood. Classes, 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 API. And to generate migration. Huh. So is it reading that from here? Or from the class? 'Cause there's no specification of what that was. Maybe generate it and then add this. So yeah, it's an integer. And you can override. So that would be a very simple way to store that. It would not be intuitive when reading. Okay, so you get the filters. Hard to understand without actual context. So I could define it as old letter codes. So they have enum types, but it's database specific. It's following standard error. How would you define column data type? Oh, so you can do string limit. So if we just do string and then edit it, age, oh, actually, age was floating point in the Lifelogs, wasn't it? Because it's number of minutes. Cause string, I mean, killer would be a useful one, and then we can probably extend anything else you want to add from there. Oh. Must be migration. And then a quick little check of the Lifelogs, make sure there's anything else I should probably put in there. So cache. I mean, that would work just as well. Okay, so timestamp, player ID, hash, coordinates, parent. I haven't really done anything with population yet. I mean, in theory, you can use that to do server tracking. And then death, age, yes, it's a fraction. That's really the only thing I don't have in there. And it would make it available for later. No, not you. Migration. Oh, I guess I should have called it create lives, huh? I was thinking table name. Okay. Not downloads. DB migrate. Create lives. Wait. Because it wasn't a create, it didn't do anything. Yeah, all that extra text you typed? Yeah, we'll just ignore that. Okay. Integer, date, time, gender. Was it size? Epoch, date, time, integer, date, time. We pretty much know what hash size is gonna be too. So that's a 40. Cause could be limited. Oh, integer parent doesn't leave room for parent equals no parent. I guess you could do a -1. The cause of death is actually going to be a kind of enumeration itself, but once again, you'd kind of like to be able to read the data. But it is going to be a pretty small number of, well, okay, killer is not. And we just pull out a separate column for that because it's convenient. That would probably be our longest one. So if we allowed size 20. Or would varchar be better than that? I think databases probably like fixed size fields. So all of our strings have sizes. Oh, no, not killer. Oh, and I was going to add And that is on all records. Oh, that would be birth pop and death pop, technically. We're going to record both of them. Now, this is something I'm not currently parsing out. So I'd first have to get Lifelogs to load that information. Then we could see about inserting it. Oh, and in terms of last epoch at a time, since we're not dealing with the Lifelog stream directly, we'd have to be looking at well, epoch of birth is when the ID is assigned, so that's the principal thing we'd be looking at. Okay. Now we need to take a step back. If we want to have these fields available. Oop, wrong side. So birth and death. Yeah, you just get your coords. And in a birth record, pop is before change. This is actually, oh, you had a population. Okay, I already did have population here. I just did a migration with, that called it pop instead of population. So Lifelog. So every time we assign birth, we get birth population. And when we assign a death, we get death population. And then we want to fix our migration real quick, just for consistency. Death population, birth population. All right, now the import process is going to be potentially a little bit interesting here. This is probably, well, the entry for a task on a remote server is probably going to be a, let's see, do we even have a tasks? We have a lib tasks that's empty. Is there perchance this might be a parent-child thing where we have like import all, import recent type of thing. Okay, you need a total refresh. Or we go lib task import.rake. Okay, that didn't really give me a whole lot to go on. But presumably we'd want some code that did this. So for proof of concept, or for working out the basic process of this, I think we're going to want to go ahead and use our cache, build up some test databases, and then we'll have to work on the sort of download and immediately process step. So we're going to have, oh, it did give me namespace. This, and then we'll eventually have like task import history, task import recent, or something like that. So for testing purposes, we're going to be looking at something like this code, which is going to be looking at something like export so anytime you run one of these tasks, I think it parses everything, so technically the requires you would only want to do as needed. At the moment, we're going to need history. Let's see, so that has a particular way of going through the servers. I guess the first step is just to get one thing to load. But eventually we're going to go, well, we're going to go through all servers. And so eventually what you'd be doing is something like you're going through all servers. So what if we did, oh, I'll tell you what I'm also going to need. Models, okay, now we've got one basic thing here. Models. Oop, no, file. And one of the things we wanted to do was enum. So that's your basic integer enum. We can also do oh, does it have to be native? Okay, so it's just a map. Enum gender is, I think these are the names we use. So if we wanted that, it would just be there. And we'll see if it complains about that. Oh, I know what I wanted to do. Well, there's probably a couple of indexes I'm going to want. But if we're doing player lookups, oh wait, yeah, it is here. Oh, there's probably few enough records in servers that index isn't really going to matter much. Ooh. Okay, I still got a buffer for you. Do I still have a file for you? I thought I deleted that, but... Oop. Well, it changed nothing, so it's kind of fine. Okay. Well, it might be in the list of applied migrations if it didn't get deleted. Oops. Yeah. Thought I deleted you. All right, tasks. So eventually we'll be going out and doing some of the fetch stuff. For the cache, dir is going to be cache lifelog I think. So right now history is set up to load files from a directory and build lifelogs from them. And we have to adjust this as we kind of go. Oh. Yeah, I might actually just want to start with one file, although that has all the process in history right now. Load dir. Okay, so given a path, we could load a log. Of course, we'd have to know the path name then. Oh, no, we need to do. I mean, a smaller one will be fine. And which modifier key is it? Copy as path. Actually, we do need that. And I'm pretty sure Ruby does agnostic paths. So we're not really doing this yet. Load log. Now these people. Oh, names. That's one of the hairy ones. The names are actually going to come along separately. I think I was actually relying a little bit on my evaluation order when I was loading the other stuff. Oh, that's what I was finding the most recent person with that ID. Figuring there might be duplication. So that would be a database search per name. Well, I guess I could load both of them into memory and then assign that. So names are annoying because they're potentially sparse, which means it might be worth having another table. Except on Heroku, I'm likely to run into the, well, how likely? Well, names are shorter, so the file size isn't necessarily representative. If I put it in the main life row, then they measure by rows. Which is kind of the only way. If it is one-to-one, we're going to have too many names. So, let's fix the migrations again. Now you are definitely nullable. Oh, that's what I wanted to do indexes too. I probably shouldn't even apply this until I'm ready. All right, t dot string name. This actually is going to be variable size. Let's see, so death and birth are all optional. We should always have a population. We should always have a hash. Parent chain. The rest of these are all optional. You do a required field. Is it like null false? Rails, migration. That's in that. Change column null, null false. This would only be if we had birth. This would only be if we had death. That's a birth. That's a birth. I think you get gender possibly from either. Age would only be death, cause, killer. Because those are only, I think those are the only fields we can, well, possibly gender we could require. Unless it was a partial record. And then indexes. Suppress messages. Add index. Oh. Add index. How about multi-key indexes? Because you really can't look up much of anything without the other stuff. Oh, wait, was that? Join table. Okay, so that is pretty much just an array. Interesting that they have the index on both directions. D.index server ID epoch player ID. We might want to be able to find by hash. Do indexes need to be named? I don't know if I need a killer index yet. This is Ruby, specifically Rails. There's a bit of DSL stuff on top of it. Oh, parent maybe. Or do I need to, if I want to find all of a parent's children to build the tree, yes. Do I need to find, am I going to need to find people who were killed by X? I don't think I'm going to do that very often. Actually, I'm not even sure I'm going to be. Well, no, yeah. If I look. I guess I look for players. Arguably, I look for people by name too, but that's probably okay with a full search there. Now, for the map, I might want to index. Well, I don't think a straight up index on X and Y are going to be that useful. I mean, maybe if you got into like geographic extensions, countries and cities, yeah, spatial indexes. Latitude and longitude. Yeah, I know that there is the GIS, post-GIS extensions. I may have to return to that later. I don't know. If there's any other latitude, longitude indexing. Index, optimizer used only one. Still had to work too hard. Some chance. Two clustered indexes. Okay, so you decide what to partition it in this. Circle distance. Partition by range lat. Fields and indexes. So I'm guessing this is the index? They don't really fully explain what they're doing here. Okay, there's the reference code. Create function. Well, there's the dist. Is that just the function? Yeah, that's just the function. Huh. Well, right now, I am not actually doing limited queries. At some point, that might be a useful thing. That's Oracle. Yeah, it all tends to be database specific. I don't know if coordinates are enabled on ours. Spatial indexes. Even as spatial indexes. Okay. Create extension postgis. ActiveRecord postgis adapter. They don't really have high-level documentation here, do they? Maybe that has a better description. Spatial migrations. Schema search path. Oh, I don't know. I might. Oh, and that has to be point. Oh, okay. So we'd say geographic false, probably. But that's a point. Latitude, longitude, flat coordinate system. The M coordinate. Spatial index. Yeah, we might have to see if we're doing spatial queries that actually cause us enough trouble. Because this is going to make it a lot of technical implementation we have to add. Now, if I end up doing searches by player, that would be useful. I think I'm usually going to be going from killer to who that was, which would be the player ID lookup. I could conceivably go from a person to their children, which would be the parent lookup. I was doing lineage tagging in my other thing, which is relying on pre-tagging it in the data. But I think I'm going to have to deal with that in another step. Okay, so we're back to import. We've got a single path for now. And then we need to all right, so we've got a life. Actually, is it create? All right, and the fields we expect. We know this is going to be big server 2, so we need equals server dot find by name. This is full title. Oh, it could be a 0. If okay, lives.load path. Okay, so now you get server ID epoch. That should have actually been assigned by. Well, I might need to revisit my assignment method, but that's fine. I will need to insert more than one type of data. I'm going to need to have a process to load the most recent epoch as we start loading this file. And I'm going to have to communicate that to my loader. So probably going to need to do some rewriting of the loader stuff. Is it player ID? Yeah, it should be player ID. Okay, birth time. Birth X. Birth chords. Population. That should just be a number. And then all of this for death. Nope. Trailing characters. What? Maybe maybe it was leading characters. Oh, I put the percent in there by habit. Even though we're trying to do a limited one. All right. Now this, I'm going to take a little bit of interpretation. After reader parent could be no parent. Okay, or it is a regular integer. And then I also get parent there, parent there. Maybe I just had a method for parent key. So lifelog life parent equals life log. Did I do capital L? I did not. And I tried to avoid the null pattern, but... Or would your parent actually be nil? That's a nullable field. Parent would also be nil for something that had a death record only, though. Let me just have an E flag. All right, chain. Gender, we probably just did as straight up. So would it accept the underlying value there, just going through the model? Life.cause. Oh, I haven't actually loaded names here. I guess to test this, we would want to... I think it's just names. Life.name, and then the rest is all indexes. I'm probably gonna have to wipe and redo this a few times. All right, rake. So we're currently going with this shape. Right, Rails is the same thing as rake. Import. Initialized constant server. Do tasks need to, like, load environment? I may have seen that. It's the environment task, winner environment. Aha, so that's another way to do it. Couldn't find server. Now, did I wipe that out changing stuff? Or did I just not type something right? Oh, and this is a Windows console, so doesn't give me, so server1.1hour1life.com. We tried to find bigserver.onehour1life.com. So I actually need to know all of these. Okay, here's another interesting little question here. This is in Postgres bin though. Select star from servers. I have to do something to change databases, don't I? Nope, backslash. Execute query. List domains. List databases. How do I change databases? Well, okay, so there's actually a thing that you do when you connect. It's like D. I should just curious to get password. All right. Big server 2, onehour1life.com. Oh, I did it as server name. Because normally we just call it server. Can find server. Oh, do I have to? Yeah. You'd think it would be able to do that, but you'd be wrong. It's probably a typo. Life. What did I call you? Oh, epoch. Oh, does that mean I... Nope, okay. Undefined method epoch for life. What? Lifelog. Okay, so life is not... So life logs have epochs. We use them to create keys. But lives, do not actually store the epoch once they create the key. Okay. Nor do they store the server for that matter. And if we have no other information, we would want to get that from death. which we think will stay consistent. Player for life. Probably should have been player ID. Oh, player.id. Wait, is it? No. Okay, so it wasn't create. I don't need that, or that, or that, or that. Dot create. Now that's saying undefined method, not like we couldn't find the table, but undefined method create. What the heck is up with that? All right, so let's take a step back. We can do user new, user new. I don't know. You can do new with the arguments like this. Why do we not have life.create? Auto loading, or does not load all your classes. Define jet. Was stuff folder. Create migration. What can I find out about? Well, actually, is it? Oh, I did this top level. Naming is hard. So that's a loaded name log. Those births and deaths are loaded life logs, but we have a life that came from the life logs. And we don't currently have a higher level name that I'm super comfortable with for this package. Because it seems like right now it's doing family trees. It seems like I might turn it into more of a generic tool. But other things are going to expect, like history, to create these, so it has to have some sort of consistent name. And I was essentially lazy and did not put any namespace on it. Doing that would break every single program I've written here. And probably require restructuring directories as well. I want to keep everything proper about it. Alright. Probably about time for me to move around a little bit anyway. We might have to do that. But I am going to take a short break. Log out here yet. There was something else playing last time I was close to it.
O Lord God, helper of those who seek you, I see you in the garden of paradise, and I do not know what I see, because I see.
I fucking up hit her. What the fuck?
Got her!
Nice.
¿Todo bien? ¿Se despierta?
A ver, sí.
Vale, yo lo veo bien.
Vale.
Métete en un arco.
We're gonna try renaming nuggets. Oh, look, they making nugget babies. Oh yeah, the love, so exciting and new. Come into my stone hut. We're expecting someone new. Nugget Love Hut. Soon they'll be making another little one. The Nugget Love Hut. Wow, there's a clip. Oh, man.
Where'd my steaks go? Why now?
Alright, welcome back. So it seems that we have to do a bit more jumpification. I'm discovering my own mistakes, but we're kind of slowly moving through it here. Right now I'm suffering from some name collisions. I guess one way around this is for certain things. Well, actually, if the stuff internally here will all be in the namespace, all little subprogram scripts could. This is gvim. Arguably, I use a large-ish font size because it kind of got hard to read for me. And yeah, I can imagine it's not going to, any programming stuff is going to be hard on mobile. Well, I guess, yeah, some of the menu bar and stuff is a little bit smaller. So I kind of have to stop and do a bunch of maintenance on this. So, that's going to be like moving files and so it's Lifelogs. So right now it's family trees. It might turn into something else later. But I've already got a lifelog thing. It could be I might actually end up wanting to turn this into like lifelogs and family trees. So lib. Alright, I'm going to have to do a bunch of searching here, and one of the complications I have is that the cache files are rather huge. So this is LC, so we should be able to dump that on there. Oh, right, I had it open here. We're moving it. Alright, so I need to be able to do a bunch of searching, and that is very inefficient. So where do we use that? Alright, that's only in graphs, so that should be fine. It probably would make sense to move it down. I guess the thing to do for now is to actually just go ahead and use this project. It's more typical to do underscores. I don't think this needs to be pure Rails convention, though. Where are you? There you are. That's pretty much going to have to be everything. Alright, so now all of those files. Wrapper should always be local reference. Whoa. What the heck? Geary date is fine. Server start year. Module. Everybody gets reindented. Server start near Nakagiri. Yeah, fetch is going to need some rethinking itself. Oh, isn't just lib fetch anymore now. Nakagiri file utils. This almost is more of just a script. It should probably eventually move into something else. Maybe you do move down. And I'm gonna have to rethink about that. But it doesn't directly depend on anything. Family trees. We got wrapper, graph. Do I still have you? You don't actually reference any of the other modules. You just, if we did load you, we wouldn't want any name collisions. Oh, we do use Lifelog. So that is a lazy reference. Oh, yeah, that's not gonna work. Of course, now this directory is different than the name of the gem. Assuming that's it. So maybe I shouldn't do that. Even though that's not exactly Rails convention. It's at least consistent. Family trees, repper, monument, history. Lifelog just has to be namespaced, which is what we really needed. Anybody else? We did history, we did lifelog, we did monument, we did graph. Fetch didn't use any of that stuff. And then we've just got a whole bunch of Ruby scripts. Graph. So for these one-off kinds of things, we could probably include there, and I'm going to have to revisit these at some other point. No, I don't have you. So you. So many little programs. Oh, these are just little test programs. It's almost getting a bit of a pain to maintain them. And they probably are useful for some purposes of testing. But I might actually want to have it, put them in a directory or something that was one particular life. At some point, I want to go through and like turn this into like a command line thing. Of course, having the web server will also take care of some of the use cases. We've got, oh man, I have so many little programs. And I'm not even sure that this is the package name I want. Lives export. Lives points. Yeah, I remember it was like, I don't know if it was Mythical Man Month, one of those sort of software project books theorized that it was a 3 times as much effort to make something sort of production ready as to make it at all. Which this is kind of that part of that 3 times. So monument points. I probably don't use some of these enough to justify them. So my recent lives. I might need that one to do. In fact, probably need to do tile updates tomorrow. So actually having the data server could be a step to automating some of this stuff. Of course, I kinda not sure I like. I think I might want to try something else for the server. But this is what I know. I guess in some ways reusing this code is causing me to do a bunch of stuff. So it's not entirely free there. Did I do you? Yes, I did you. History graph. Okay. So now this, when it includes these, needs to include those. This is going to be history, then server and life are all, oof, that got large, are my local references in this app. Okay, so what's our current working directory? Peter, is it CWD or PWD? Oh, no, PWD worked. Okay. I guess then I need to do file.join.dir.pwd. Data server, down, cache. Well, I copied the actual path. Is there a space? It's trees, plural. Oh, nope. Because I moved the cache out while I was doing all that surgery. Which means I might not actually need the file join here. Now, eventually this is going to be fetch and read the file, because we can't keep files around on Heroku. Well, I guess I could do it to temp. That's only a warning, right? Oh. I don't see any other errors. Oh, right, it's a block. History is running the iteration. So we get to undo our migration again. Or maybe it should be like a count. Uh, all right. Relation lives does not exist. Create table lives. Oh man, this is deep down in some Rails stuff. Oh wait, did I? Why did it not? Maybe it did complain, I didn't notice it. Oh, yep, that was create servers. Well, need to see it again. Null volume. Oh, well, hey. So how does that happen? Maybe death doesn't assign it? Epoch equals 0. epoch equals 0. Header reader history has its own epoch, which is initialized to 0. How do we get a null? I mean, I guess it's cool that we put a condition on there. Oh, failing row. So that should be... Is that server ID? I would have expected big server 2 to get something other than 1. Yeah, that seems like a really arbitrary order. It is not at all related to the order I put things in. Okay. So I need to do something like... So I can see what these actually map to. Oh, no, wait, there's a server ID. Why does my server ID keep changing? And is big server 2 really ID 2? Oh, ActiveRecord has the implicit ID record, which I always forget about. So it's doing ID 2, server ID 17, which I believe, epoch null, epoch nil. So I guess the real question is, what's the life? Well, I mean, we know, well, maybe I'm misspelling an attribute. Epoch 0, epoch 0. Oh, that. I guess I'm using it immediately in my keys, so it's not showing up. And the fact that's a typo. And this is one of the reasons I was wondering about maybe I should move off of Ruby. Okay, epoch 0, epoch 0. Undefined method for nil class? Oh, we forgot to check for the existence of, I had to do that my other stuff. And now we're printing out excessive things. All right, we've got some data. This might be enough to start doing some other testing with, although importing this is kind of one of the main things it's doing. Okay. Git add app db. Accept import. All right, we can import singular lives. Things we need to do. Now. I made indexes, but I didn't actually check for uniqueness. The index. Column unique and index it. Add, okay, so indexes can have unique true. So we do need to upgrade our migration yet again. And yes, we can modify this, but it's still the top migration, so. All right, we can do a migration to modify these things. Oh wait. The player ID is unique. Parent is not unique. Right, db. Doing this at the db level could actually be dangerous if I'm not managing my epochs correctly. I might, well, I'm going to import everything locally to test it. So I might need to have like a exception catch for uniqueness errors. Okay. Now our import, right now we are just doing singular files to get down this import process. Really, we want to be able, well, realistically, we are going to have some version of the fetch process for this. Maybe I should set this up to load all files, and then I'll probably actually maybe test that off stream, because I can expect that this is going to take quite a while to insert all of history. But that will get us like our uniqueness tests and other garbage clearing. But one of the other things we're going to need, let's see, so that is going to look a little bit like the fetch process. Let's see, I left this down here for now. Maybe I could set this up as a module to, well, this fetches up the files. I'm looking more at like, how about export just dir for each of this blah blah. That's a true everything. We get our server. I would actually not remove the 1hour1life.com in this case. We could look that up in there. That would be per directory. That currently loads all lives in the directory, so that is actually non-trivial time in and of itself. I think this might be more file-oriented. But to attach names, as is, I kind of have to do at least the lives and the names in sync. And right now, it's a straight-up directory iteration that just kind of does those things as it comes to them. Which becomes, well, or we set it up so that we actually do import names separately, and much like the history process, we actually do a lookup to find the most recent player with that name. So as long as we end up processing things in order, that probably works. All right, so we've got the two files. We've got, I guess loading them into lives is fine. So that is going to insert things without names. Although I might... Yeah, because it expects to load names and attach them to lives. Well, I mean, that's... Okay, we've got the name log. All right, we've got a player ID, so we're searching backwards in epoch. So we would want... Well, we haven't really gotten into epoch tracking here. So the most basic version of that would just be to do epoch 0. Epoch is local to the history object, so it keeps track of that as it's loading stuff. I set it up only as a reader, but we're actually going to have to be able to reinitialize our epoch if we're picking up incremental file loads. I might just want to do my own loader here, because what we really need is the Lifelogs. Well, actually, no, I can't even do complete lives here. Because we might get a birth and not a death, and we have to come back and get the death later. So I might have to process this at the direct log level. Where we should always have and we're basically expecting that if we get a birth at 2, we're never going to see the death. where when we get a birth, we allocate the player record. When we get a death, we attempt to find and update the player record. And if it doesn't exist, we can only record death information. Then there's the problem of every time we update the life logs, we get 3 file updates, which I don't know if that actually means that there's... And maybe we shouldn't worry about new records because we don't expect anything to be updated, or rather, updating existing records. So like if it's a birth and it already exists, then don't bother. So I don't know if there's a database operation for that or if we have to check our key first. So we've got a lot of problems. One of them is that we're going to get a file and we want to do something with that file. So that's loading file on disk. If we've downloaded, and we could probably use temp for the downloading at least. So I might still be able to do file op, a file operation. But exactly how I integrate this is possibly going to be a little bit different. Because I do want to be able to add a record if it's a birth, update a record if it's a death. And it's not really necessarily the in-memory record. We actually have to get the database up to date. And for epochs, we need to be looking at the epoch as of the timestamp. All right, I need to pick one problem at a time. One of those problems is attaching names to lives. So we have load log. So that goes through there. Load names. Okay, that was our loop. Load names. Now this is assuming we already have a path. That includes name. Oh, that's right. It's a cross window, and actually that does include that. Properly speaking, right, this was doing full server path. This will need to be, if we're just given a path, we're going to need to get the server out of that. Okay, name log. And epoch is the awkward one. We'll start with there, just to get this moving. And this is actually probably going to need to move out into a lib module, and then the task will just call into it, because this is getting kind of gnarly. So this is searching in lives. So we're going to have a player ID. We're just assuming we're only dealing with one server right now. So this is going to be a update if present. How do you differentiate the finders from the updates? Oh, life.where. Now really, since this is a unique key, it should be a find. So we have server ID, epoch. Arguably, I could prepare a contact. Well, no, the epoch might change during processing. I could try to find server ID, player ID, order by epoch. It's not necessarily going to be indexed. But we've got a database. Order by epoch descending. Dot limit 1, because it can be the highest one. And then update that with so for now, I want to do a little bit of checking on this. Okay, sure. P-match. Even both, and then unexpected. Oh, wrong arrow format. Oh, yeah, we don't necessarily need to track epoch here. Doesn't change during this processing. We are assuming, well, arguably, yeah, we are assuming an incremental add here. So that's always going to be the most recent player with that ID. Oh. Player with that ID. Rooter Jr., thank you for the follow. Glad you like watching me bumble through code. Alright, so this is going to import all of the data and then see if we can assign names to anything. Oh, that will do nothing. I was just thinking hamming on this earlier. Might be another good one for progress bar. Okay, we found there. We found name log. Blah blah blah. Player ID. Blah blah blah. Wait, name log blank? I guess, can somebody say name log, you are blank? Is that a parsing error? Not data. This is big server 2. Most recent file. That's a UR blank. Maybe it got grabbed in the middle of a read or something? Or in the middle of a write? Okay. All right, so normally we can just go straight to this. And can we clean that up a little bit? The order limit's kind of okay. All right, so that solves the name log problem. Process name logs separately. Presumably we'd still want to go through, so normally I've been going through files. Well, yeah, when we fetch new files, it should still be going through lives names. Now I've been counting on the iteration order doing lives before names. I will need to watch when we're doing file updates if those are also being, well, actually, we're going to get those in all likelihood in this order, which is file name, file name, file name. So that should be a safe-ish assumption. All right, this is becoming quite large and unwieldy for a rake task. We're going to put this in lib where I don't believe it is auto-loaded. Lib. I guess it's going to be like import. And it's going to be one file for this should be fine. Is this going to be a class? Or a module? Oops, I lost an end here. Now this, when imported, can do all this stuff. Import. No, because we're still gonna have name collisions, and I can't be that lazy. So right now, this is just a module that might have. So one obvious way to do it would be to have a load log path, much like that did. And actually the paths, we can go back to our other thing. Did I remove this already? I did not remove it already, so we can cut this down later. Lives, load log. Actually, so now we do need an indent. So load log. Oh, this is going to be the test function. Well, the test function is going to call us with a single path, right? This is still a constant server. This is... Where was I doing that? That only subs out the base part. So this is assuming a dir within cache. So if our path looks like that up to a point. Well, log is also getting server, right? Path.match. Yeah, okay. Here we go. I've never seen that stuff before. Interesting. All right, path.match. That should be the full server, so we should be able to do server. And I guess really, if you're not getting that, then why do all the rest of this work? So that's load log. It's the end of the loop. Load names. We'll get that from outside. You also need server, so we have to redo this. And it's only once per log, it shouldn't be too bad. And then we were not doing this. Handling it directly. Oh, these are all modules, so at the moment. I mean, I guess, like, server could be, if I made an object, server could be context, epoch could be context. But for now, so this is going to require just import, because it's lib for me. And import.loadlog. And that's more of an appropriate rake task size. Ooh. Okay, so the other thing we get to practice here is what if, yeah, there was the birth and death thing. But we do have collisions here. ActiveRecord create if not exists. Not contact exists. Unique true validates uniqueness of first or create. Well, yeah, but I think it'll also raise an error if it's, well, you know what? we can find out exactly what it does. Unique key violation. Yep. Actually, oop. Active record. Is there an upsert? There's a library for it. Find or initialize. Find or create. Custom configuration for each model. Maybe. Okay, I did stop printing stuff out here. And names, I'm not really sure it's useful to add a record, especially without knowing the epoch, for just a name. Okay. Now I do. That solves the that's okay. Step by step extract. That's the abstraction. Extract data import to lib. We've got some pieces. I might need to implement my own loop. That also means implementing the code that says, okay, what fields are we grabbing from each thing? Because that way we can insert the death record or the birth records as we get them and then update with the death records as we get them. It'll be more database ops. Or we take each log as a whole. It's only one database op after having processed it all. But we would need to be able to do updates. Yeah, because one log will get a death-only record. So I have to be able to find it, update the fields that have real data. Yeah, I should probably do these directly. So we've got server. So there's the server again. All right, file. Lifelog create. Lifelog birth. Player ID. There's that epoch we haven't really dealt with yet. And then this is a very different process for each one. Do I need any context information? I need the server. And I need the epoch. Add birth, server, epoch. This is a bit more. I was hoping I just. Oh yeah, you just use your existing code. It's all good. That's actually not going to be indentation good. All right, so it's going to. Let's see. It's not going to have that. It's not going to have that. Not going to have that. It's all going to be log instead of life. I guess both of these could still be, well, death at least needs to be able to update. At least. Assuming we're processing everything in order, which, is that safe? We think it's safe. Oh, this is going to be server ID. Server ID. So birth, get server ID epic. Life is going to be log. Player ID. Hash birth, 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 not death, death, death. It's not going to have age, cause, or killer. Birth equal, parent, chain, gender, age, cause, killer. Oop. Log log. Was not case sensitive there. Now you will not be doing this by all fields. So this does become a find and update scenario. So you were not going to have birth. Player ID, epic, server, death, death, death. No parent, no chain. We do have gender again. And as long as we process them in order, this is going to be a first to create. So this is going to be first or create by well, we're intending to update fields. So wasn't there a new or create? Which I... I was just doing find or create. Create by more than one attribute. Just find or create. Oh, geez. Okay, so you can do that, and then first or initialize. Because we pretty much need to update and then save. So we're actually going to have this in two parts. We're going to have the finder part. And then the rest part. So first, or no, create or does the database operation. And I may have to clear my database here. Find or initialize. Find to create attributes. There was where. First or initialize. Oh, this is also an old one too. We have active record. Not even mentioned. Not even mentioned. Well, their active record has a couple sections, doesn't it? Active record. Migrations, validations, callbacks. Query interface? Find or create or init. Find or initialize by. And that is first name. Just like find or create. But is that locked down to a single attribute? Okay, so that should fill in the fields. That should fill in those fields. You need to be key broken down. Oh. Oops. Did I complete that maybe? So that should work with all the data there. Oh, already did that. Epoch. Oh, and I didn't actually change this to call stuff, huh? Load log. Add. Oh, 0. We probably will be tracking an epoch at some point here. What did I call it? Add, oh. And we're at module level right now. Birth time. Oh, right, because the individual logs don't have to distinguish these things. Or was a more efficient way to do that? First or initialize, find or initialize by. Oh wait, update saves. And it is returning me a result. And oh, did I? Okay, I changed you, I didn't change you. Oh, did I? Okay. I love that consistency. Time for life. Oh, this is why you don't do that. Because you still need the prefixes. All right, so one way for me to look at this, well, I kind of, no, it's a single step, is life p before life.count. So this is feeling a lot slower because we have to check for the keys every time, but you kind of need to merge those records. Well, births could assume that they're going to be going forward. Of course, since I chose the latest one as my test, my option to test out inserts is to do, okay, 6 June. Let's take this back. Oh, and actually, this was a small day. And names are actually kind of fine. I could just really skip that. Oh, that inserted nothing. Well, maybe it needs to do a refresh. Nope, that inserted nothing. So update does not save. Or is it update attributes? This might have to be back in basics. Find by, update all, find by. Name equals, a shorthand is, Well, this says it should work. This is only doing births, but that's where we'd expect to add the main records. And now we have to deal with all the console spam. Wait. I haven't assigned names to any of these people. I'm seeing a lot of names here. This is load log. Actually, I'm seeing a lot of the same name here. So I really need to see is my key fields. Oh, actually it was done. Life ID 1. So we attempted to find player ID 889. We got something completely different. So we just kind of overwrote all our data. So the first or initialize is not doing at all what we want. Maybe that is the applied to aware clause. Well, there is the find or initialize. First record within a relation. Well, with the optional attributes. So this is undocumented. Where's the F's? First or, find or. It calls new instead of create. Find or create by. Given attributes or creates a record if none is found. Which is passed down to O. The example above of creation was attempted and it failed due to validation errors. First one, select. Insert as attempted. Since it's doing that before, is there a update that does not save? All right, so we have empirical evidence that it is picking completely the wrong record. So probably it's the first with server ID, so it's not using all the keys. So what we really need is like a first or a find. No, it's only a single name. Doesn't work with two columns. Oof. That's ugly. First or initialize. Okay, so you do your find, then you do first. Find or initialize by. It does take it. Okay. Find or initialize by. Oof. Okay, I guess I just missed. Player ID 931. Okay, ID nil 931. No attributes. We update a couple of attributes. We got an ID. Birth time, birth time, birth time. Are there no births in this block here? Wait. I'm only logging stuff on birth. Am I not loading birth time? I did not print out my log here. Okay, life log birth. Time. Birth time nil. Well, no, that was the first one. Birth time nil, birth time nil. We got... What the heck? Oh, it might not be accepting it because it's not a date? I should probably just have an exit after the first row. Hey, now it's a date. So like none of my records recorded any timestamps, which would be a small problem. I guess I should have looked at those. I probably should have looked at them closer in general. So actually, where was, and I moved off of that thing. Database. I guess if there's not... columns, constraints. Okay, so I guess they want you to go do a query. I mean, unless it's like an option. Okay, query tool. And it's just query tool. So this is, you know, it might give me a nice view. Is there a shortcut for execute? Yeah, birth time null. I could believe, well, this might have been a death at the beginning of the log. Yeah, that was a death. Killer, we can expect to be null a lot. Name, for many people, will be blank. But either, yeah, either birth time or death time should have been filled in. Oh, yeah, some of these were still death only because it's the head of the log. All right, we're probably going to want to clear this at some point anyway. For now, well, it's not suitable as test data, but... add death, add life. Okay. And now, I may have run this through record creation before. Well, I don't think it's a full log's worth. All right, and we do in fact have a bunch of new records. So this is all file-based right now. It'd probably be serviceable to try importing everything just to see if there were any exceptions. So because I implemented my own stuff, I also have to kind of re-implement this. Now the time coverage, I don't know if I'm going to need on this one. Now even load, well, even anything based on path is not necessarily going to be useful. Oh, did I? Probably didn't. Well, I've already got the time range code. And actually, this might kind of, slot in here. Since I kept some of the same file names. That time range is fine. And then this would be import.load dir. Yeah. Now this could take a very, very long time to execute. In fact, I probably want you guys load log. Yeah, and then you get the server from that. Oh, I don't have any epoch tracking yet. So that will create collisions. That might be where we would need to have an instance of this. And for incrementals, we'd have to be able to look up the current epoch, which once we've got some data in there that's gotten non-trivial epochs, we can actually test that query code. But I actually put a database constraint on that, so we can't just load it up willy-nilly. So could we determine epochs on a per file basis? That would be, well, we'd have to have read the first log to get the first timestamp of the file. I might have to put off epoch handling, because that's, well, that's also the thing blocking me from just saying I've loaded my data. Well, then there's incremental handling. Do I need an instance so I can track? Or do we say at the start of each log, well, if we assume things are always added newest, which isn't really a safe assumption, I guess. So we get a log. I guess to query, I'm going to convert that to into a time object. Then we say we want the largest epoch on this server before this time. Life dot where server ID is server ID and, ooh, this is a less than. I don't know if there's a nice syntax for that. Oh, and it's a less than with a timestamp to boot. Oh. And we have two different timestamps. The first record we get could be a birth or a death. Well, I guess that's what ORs are for. Birth time. Well, birth time is really where it should be assigned. Time dot at and then really we could just return at this point for testing purposes. Oh, this is going to be in each file. So different way of doing this. Oh, I did have the yield in there to do alternate loads. Oops. Maybe we can revisit that. Statement. Okay, yes, it's going to be statement not reached. Import. Okay, we did switch to that. Okay, we didn't even get there. Okay, it was cache slash before. Load dir. Load log. Oh, I did return, not break, so it could be failing on some random little thing. Oh, wait, is this for each cache? Oh, this is supposed to be given a server directory. So for now, oof. And then we have to go back and handle directory iterations sometime. Undefined method P. Did I do a capital P? Yep. ActiveRecord relation nothing. This is big server 2. Oh, but there's going to be nothing that is before that time. Oh, and we really want order epoch. Or, well, what we really want is max. Does Rails have things for that? Conversion of symbol into integer. Order. Oh, no, you have to do a group by for that. ActiveRecord query interface, maximal limit, ActiveRecord calculations, person dot maximum. Well, I mean, I've been doing this. Okay, so that works. And we just have to switch this back to So now what are you going to be if we go back to at log.time? Going to be nil. So you should be or 0. Oh, I left that there. Okay, so that should give us the most recent epoch at the time that this log would have been loaded. Name's going to be a little bit fuzzier on that if we end up loading things out of order. I don't yet have the thing to load all of history. That's still an iteration. But it should be a pretty basic thing. Probably want to leave this in for now. Oh, I had dir. Yeah, it's fine. All right, now this is probably going to take quite a while to execute. So we're just going to checkpoint this. All right, we already added some stuff there by accident. We do this per each file. For lives, we do it kind of in inverse order, or for names. Most recent person with that. Oh, is this? Oh, I'd never checkpoint after extracting this. Okay. I thought I did. Well, this says modified. Setting up for, well, this is directories for full load test. I will have to run that offline. It's just going to take a while. So that's it. Thanks for watching. I'm going to be back to actually hopefully play some 1R1 Life this afternoon. Thanks to everybody who hosted me. Do we have any other code going on? And this is about when I tend to stream, so going a little bit late today. That looks almost over. I don't have any videos on you, but hey, some game devs. I'm not sure how long that goes. I think he usually tends to go pretty long. Looks like Almighty Game Dev is going to work on a kind of classic style RPG game. So if we're someplace cool to hang out, Almighty Game Dev is someplace cool to hang out. Thanks for hanging out with me. Goodbye, and until next time.